Hey, and welcome to practice number 1 in the Empath Institute, and that is shielding. Shielding is absolutely, in my opinion, the foundation for any practices for an empath, and there's a reason for that. Shielding is the one thing, or one of the main things, that can allow you to have control over your own energy and allows you to have control over how much of other people's energy you take in all the time. So when you're not shielded, you are basically like an open, very porous sponge. And you just start soaking in, you're walking out in the world, having no idea, but you are soaking in everyone's emotions and feelings and anxieties and stress and happiness and joy and whatever particular cocktail you happen to walk through. And in fact, not even necessarily walking through it. Most of us as empaths can actually sense the shift in vibration in the world itself. So we're unknowingly soaking all of this in. If you can imagine that you're sort of like a radio receptor and you have countless little antennas all over your body and you're just pulling in all of this little information. It's as if you're pulling in 12,000 different radio stations at once. And if you can imagine, you've got talk radio and you've got hard rock and you've got rap and you've got jazz or whatever else, and it's all coming in at once. If you can imagine you were like stuck in a room and you're listening to all of that at once, you'd be pretty blown out by the end of the day, right? You'd want some way of essentially turning it down, and maybe you only want to listen to one station that day. The problem is, when we are walking around in the world or just waking up as empaths in the world and we don't know that we can turn it down or that we have the option to kind of fine tune it a little bit and only listen to the stations we want to listen to, or maybe we're just conserving our own energy for ourselves that day, and that's not selfish. That's a very important thing to do as well. We don't know. We were never trained that we could do that. And that's where shielding comes in. Shielding is essentially taking, and the way that I teach it, and people teach it in different ways. I have found this particular way to be extremely effective with my students all around the world. It's the shielding practice really should make you feel instantly better. Like 5 minutes of it, even 90 seconds of it should make that level of difference for you, that you should feel centered, empowered, relaxed, rejuvenated. All of that should happen pretty much instantly if you're doing shielding. So the way that I've developed it is really to connect with the core of who you are, because certainly as empaths, we tend to really feel a lot of what we're feeling from everyone or soaking in from everyone around us tends to go in through our gut. So if you are a person that you go out in the world and you start to feel like that anxiety feeling, that apprehension feeling in your gut, because you're walking through the grocery store or whatever, it's really likely you're picking up other people's energy, and your gut, your core, is literally soaking it in, and that's why you're feeling that way. So I start off with our core because it is such an important part of ourselves to really ground ourselves, to pull ourselves into our own strength. For those of you that are familiar with the chakra system, that's the third chakra, and it's really about your I am identity, your personal identity, and your ability to protect yourself. So if you have done any of my other work, it's also station 3, where I talk about learning to be a good leader in your own life and learning to be able to create your own sense of safety and security. And so what we're doing with this is connecting with that core part of ourselves where we can create safety and security for ourselves. And then we literally take our own personal energy and we create our own intentional energy field all the way around us. And when we do that, what happens is a complete shift in how much information we are choosing to take in. Now, I have a lot of people that I've had questions along the way of people who've said, well, if I shield, I don't want to cut myself off from people completely. And you're not. What you're doing is you are taking back control over what you take in as information. You can always sort of open your shield up, and that's another thing that I'm teaching in the Empathic Institute. That's what I do when I work with people one-on-one. I have to, open up, connect. And that's an easy thing to do. And then when I'm done, I know how to now close it back down so I'm not continuing to stay connected and lose energy to whatever the situation might be, have energy sort of soaked out of me. So that's my answer there, is that no, you're not shutting anything off. What shielding teaches you to do is that you have control over the energy that you take on. You have control over the energy that you give out, because at that point you can decide, okay, I'm going to open up and sense what's going on. I'm going to mindfully connect with this person. Because what you're doing when you're not shielded is you're not mindfully connecting. You're just taking it all in, like you're walking behind a trash truck and the trash truck's just dumping stuff on you. Well, eventually you're just standing there in a trash heap, right? You're just, it's not good. You would not want to do that. Well, that's energetically essentially what we're doing if we're not shielding ourselves. We're not creating that intentional, mindful energetic boundary around ourselves. Now, you'll find inside the Empath Institute a few examples of how I've taught people to use this, including using it with bullying. I highly recommend, if you've got an empathic kid in your life, please use the resources in the Empath Institute to teach them this simple practice of shielding before they head to school each day, aside from doing all the things you need to be doing as a parent to address it and make sure that child is bullying, because childhood bullying is not just a normal rite of passage and has long-term impacts. So please, please, please step in and do something. But please also, use those tools to help them to be shielded. And I also have another example of this lovely woman who she used it to deal with sexual harassment on her job, which happened to be in the military. So there are many ways to use this. I can't wait to hear more of your stories about how you use it and how it significantly impacts your life. So that's what shielding is. That's why you need it. It's completely to reconnect yourself with your own personal energy and energy field, to set some really healthy boundaries over what kind of energy goes in and out to you. So you're not just taking everything like a trash truck just dumping on you, or like a zillion radio stations you're connected to all the time. You're actually fine-tuning it and saying, okay, I can work with this person, and you are not shutting off your connection to people completely. I still walk around, I'm still gonna sense things from people, but now because I'm in control of it, I then can choose when I open up and when I connect at that empathic level and really sense what's going on with someone, and when I decide to shut it down and conserve my energy or keep my energy for myself. Those are like the critical reasons why you need shielding. I can't wait to hear your stories about how shielding impacts you. So please now move on to the actual practice of shielding and go ahead and try it. And you'll notice there's a few audios as well that you can just download and use as your shielding practice. The cool thing is, I will tell you that you can actually, after you've done it a few times, there's a reason why, and you'll see in the how to do it thing, I actually have you use your hand over your solar plexus or your third chakra, or whatever you want to call it, station 3. And the reason is to sort of give you an actual movement that tells your energetic body how to shield quickly. And so for me, I can shield in a quick instant now because I've been practicing it. So even if it feels uncomfortable to you at first, please know that the more that you practice it, the quicker you can shield in any kind of situation. So go forth, go to the how to do it now, and I'll see you again really soon.